Now, getting into chapter 251 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is the 23rd part of the Shinjuku Showdown, and it starts off back with Yuta using Sukuna's own technique, Cleave, on him. Sukuna, the king of curses, is surprised at the use of Cleave and questions when that could have happened. Yuta then tells him that he got it through the fingers, since Sukuna never recovered the last one because it was held onto by Gojo. And Yuji out of nowhere then decks Sukuna in the face, and Sukuna then states he gets it now, realizing Yuta ate it. Yuta then slams his hand in Sukuna's stomach mouth, and Yuji in turn grabs Sukuna's face, slamming his knee into it as hard as he can. But Sukuna then wraps his arm around Yuji. Aww. No, not like that. But presses his hand into Yuji, sending more slices directly into his torso. But Yuji isn't finished and spits blood directly into Sukuna's eyes, while Yuta sneaks a punch through his guard, connecting a mean uppercut to his chin. Yuji falls to the floor and thinks to himself that this is now the last chance to defeat Sukuna and get back Megumi, so he needs to heal as fast as he can. And I quickly just have to stop it right here. This fight is insanely good. It's getting brutally desperate, with blood being spit, punches being thrown, and grabbing happening. It's getting so much more intense, and I'm loving every second of it. But before we get into the rest of the chapter, if you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps my small channel grow. Also, I've made a Patreon and it's in the description below. Support me if you'd like. Yuji also notes that Sukuna's cursed energy and physical control is dropping, and whilst he finishes his healing, Rika comes in grabbing Sukuna and throws him at Yuji, who, from the floor, kicks Sukuna again square in the face. And just like that, Yuji and Yuta both notice Sukuna's hands that were creating hollow wicker basket unclasp. And we see that they were all waiting for this to happen, the moment when Sukuna would have to bear the effects of everything our heroes have inflicted upon him and rely on dismantle. Rika grabs two of his arms and Yuji one of them, while Yuta rushes in, plunging his hand into the stomach mouth and ripping out its tongue. Suddenly, Sukuna uses dismantle, but unfortunately for him, it only grazes Yuta's head. Yuta drops the tongue on the floor and states that it was a less powerful dismantle because an attack like that to do real damage would have to include a hand sign or chant, and he won't let Sukuna do either, who is starting to definitely look extremely rough right now. Yuta continues thinking that Sukuna's slashes are now becoming weaker, so he doesn't need to fear getting in close while he slashes towards him. Sukuna tries to parry, but the blood on his face suddenly starts to move, and in a confused state he questions what's happening. Something to do with the blood Yuji spat on his face. It's erupting, and with that, Yuta's attack cleanly slices off Sukuna's hand. And oh my god, if I'm right about this, if I'm right in saying that Yuji can use a form of blood manipulation, I have called it in my chapter 247 review. I haven't read any of the recent chapters yet, so it would be absolutely insane if I did in fact call it. We do get a mini flashback of their pre-fight plan, where Yuji holds up a book and states that according to Tsukumo's notes, souls may mix, but they don't usually become one. Choso says that Sukuna and Yuji are a special case, since he himself has never sensed the person of the body he inhabits. But in that case, there can be such a difference in cursed energy, making the other soul go extremely deep, even though it's not gone completely. And Maki asks why he said usually, since it would be a problem if Megumi and Sukuna are an exception, but Yuji just states that he only added that on his own. Yuji continues to say that Mahito was able to combine the souls in order to change their shape. So as long as there isn't a curse technique that can do that, then their souls won't become one. And he trusts Tsukumo, so he thinks there's a chance he can knock Megumi awake. Angel then jumps in, stating that that approach would work well with her own technique, which can be used to destroy any target's curse technique. And in a curse, the target's technique are in direct connection with the personality, so it is in fact possible to remove Sukuna. However, survival chances aren't good because that technique is also connected to the brain. But if they could somehow pull the two souls apart and weaken the harmonization between them, then the chances of survival should drastically improve. basically meaning that they have to pry these souls apart using Yuji's punch before then using Jacob's ladder to completely remove the soul out of Sukuna. Now, returning back to the battlefield, Sukuna is still being held by Yuji and Rika, and while Yuta activates Angel's curse technique at maximum output, sending Jacob's ladder directly into Sukuna, which staggers him, but Yuta then pierces his arm, slicing it in two with one of his katanas, as Yuji jumps back to prepare for another attack. Yuji gets his cursed energy ready and sternly states, "Wake up, Fushiguro," before landing his punch directly onto Sukuna. The narrator then says that Yuji and Yuta's calculations were correct about the soul, however, they got something wrong. And we hear a voice say, "Enough already, that's enough." And Yuji stands before Megami, now connected with his soul, and with Megami curled up on the floor, we learn that Megami's will to live was already gone. Out of the darkness comes Sukuna's chance for his dismantle, and he slices Yuta apart as well as Rika, Yuji, and the domain, which now crumbles around them. And with all hope seeming to be lost and the domain now broken, the narrator plays again, but this time states that Sukuna should have been able to avoid a particular conventional attack. And as Sukuna turns around, we see Maki with her sword piercing through Sukuna's chest, a surprise attack against an enemy who was certain of victory. And the chapter ends there with the last panel of Sukuna staring down Maki while her sword sprouts from his chest. And oh my god, this chapter was a wild ride. I felt like I was being thrown left to right, getting whiplash at first, as I'm happy that they're winning, and then next they're losing, and then the next they're winning again. It's so intense that I feel like I'm literally getting heart palpitations just reading it. Yuji and Yuta's plan was unbelievably incredible, and probably brought Sukuna closest to death than he's ever been other than Gojo. But Megami had to ruin it by being a little bitch and sulking. Like, come on, grow up head, dude, just get over it, bro.
That's too damn bad!
But jokes aside, thankfully they had a little backup plan to the backup plan, which was Maki, who managed to sneak up and pierce Sukuna with her weapon, which is the soul-splitting katana that her sister made when she sacrificed herself. And this sword could potentially do what Jacob's ladder couldn't do and directly cut into the soul of Sukuna and Megami. This might have some drawbacks as it's probably not as delicate as Jacob's ladder, but I can't wait to see it all in the next chapter. It's now coming to the end of the video, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy you stopped by. My channel is steadily growing and I'm amazed at the support I'm getting. And I also have a Patreon now, so feel free to support me however you like. The link will be in the description, and I will shout out names at the end of each video. Thank you again, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.